of getting something in return. This is the spirit of speaking about the Dharma. Other ways to practice dana are to offer support to those who share the teachings, to support places of spiritual practice, and to give without judgment or expectation when opportunity arises. Those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a dana basis. Reverend Burkett said that if we wish to give dana, we could give it to the Minnesota Zen Meditation Center. And hello, somebody's there. Okay. And just to go to their website and go to their donation area. The Reverend Burkett was very much involved in San Francisco with Suzuki Roshi and his talks that became Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. He was part of the beginning groups at Tassajara. He and his wife Linda moved to Minnesota and were early members of the Minnesota Zen Center. And he was ordained by Dainin Katagiri Roshi in 1978. Tim was president of the Zen Meditation Center from 78 to 1983 and received Dharma transmission from Karen Suna in the Katagiri lineage in 2000 and succeeded Karen as the guiding teacher in 2002. He is also a licensed PhD psychologist and retired CEO of one of Minnesota's largest nonprofit agencies. He and Linda have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. He is the author of 2 books, Nothing Holy About It, and Zen in the Age of Anxiety. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it kind of sounds like I'm a big deal. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I had no idea. But thank you. And thank you for inviting me, Tejo. Happy to be with you guys, even if it's only 2-dimensionally. I want to start off by apologizing to the Buddhas and the ancestors.
Yeah, well, I'm still working at it, Linda.
What did you say? I heard someone else talk. No? Oh. I want to start off by apologizing to the Buddhas and the ancestors. I couldn't find my Raksu this morning. That's the mini version of the robe that we wear that Tejo has on. So I think it's over at the Zen Center, but I didn't have time to go. So that's my my lead-off statement. It's my apology to the Buddhas and the ancestors. So speaking of the ancestors, the 3rd ancestor in Zen has a very well-known statement. Do not seek after the truth, only cease to cherish opinions. So that's in a nutshell what we're attempting to do through our spiritual, through our meditative practice. And of course, that means encountering, embracing the unknown, the unfamiliar, the darkness that we're often feel surrounds us. But this is what we do. This is our practice, our spiritual meditative practice. And in Buddhism, one of the icons for this practice, the not too well-known icon, is the serpent, the Naga, N-A-G-A, the serpent that knows how to undulate and not get caught by one sense of being. And as it undulates, it casts off old skins that it's armored itself with against the world. And supposedly in the early story of Buddha, he had a naga, he had a serpent over his head when the Mara was trying to get him. If you read the Enlightenment stories, the naga is there protecting him, the serpent is protecting him. So we chant the Heart Sutra in Zen centers all over the world, and you guys probably do too. and we do it every day. And the Heart Sutra is the most articulate proponent of the Heart Sutra from the very beginning was a fellow named Nagarjuna. Naga, Juna, so serpent hero. Nagarjuna, the serpent hero. And supposedly his teaching, the teaching of the Heart Sutra and the other Prajnaparamita Sutras, were hidden in a cave for 400 years because we weren't ready for them. And the Nagas were protecting them. The serpents were protecting them. But then the serpent hero, Nagarjuna, said, now it's time to share these teachings with others. So they pulled the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras and including the Heart Sutra out of the cave and started teaching. Do you recite the Heart Sutra, Tejo?
Yes, we do.
Most Zen centers do. Around the whole world, actually. Chant centers in China, around the whole world. So Nagarjuna, or Nagarjuna, the serpent hero, his teaching was just to demolish any and every belief that people came to him with. And so you can read them, you can read these long kind of discourses, which he demolishes one belief after another, one opinion that we are cherishing after another, so that we can settle into a wonderful spaciousness where we embrace the unfamiliar, the unknown. So we had a pandemic here, and I think you guys had it in North Carolina too. We had a pandemic here, and we hope it's over, but is it ever over? I don't know. A lot of people in Minnesota, around our Zen center, in our community, were depressed. I mean, a lot of people are depressed anyway, I mean, because of what's happening culturally and socially, but they were doubly depressed. So one person came to see me, drove all the way over from St. Paul at the height of the pandemic. And he said to me, he told me about his depression. And I had just given this Dharma talk that I'm giving now. I gave it in the middle of the pandemic. And I said, oh, well, you're depressed. Well, let's just breathe with your depression. Just breathe with it, just be with it, just feel it. Just allow it to just manifest itself. And yes, he was able to do that. And he said, yes, yes. And I said, well, when you say yes, you don't sound depressed because you're saying, yes, I see it, yes. And you drove all the way over here. So how about inhabiting not depressed? Because you're already inhabiting. How about acknowledging it? And so, oh yes, not depressed. Well, then your mind, your psyche is capable of experiencing both. This is the third step in Nagarjuna's Tetra Lemma. Tetra means four, Lemma means positions. Although Nagarjuna does it negatively, I do it more positively, but I won't get into that. So depressed, not depressed, then hold them both. I said, can you hold them both? And he did. He did. And then, can you see that they're just two thoughts? And the thought is only a single component of something greater, and just let both of them go through practice. He's able to do that, and sitting those few moments with me, those few minutes with me. So that's just wonderful. At that point, we open up to infinite possibility. But usually we have to practice with all these, or with our own version of them. I get stuck on one thing, I move to another thing. I open to that. And then I embrace them both, and then I let go of them both. That's Nagarjuna's way of doing it. Now, that's kind of formulaic. You may not want to do that formula. That's fine. But I'm going to talk. I don't even do the formula, but except when I'm giving well, when I'm working one-to-one with people, sometimes I do. If we practice in this way, our awareness naturally becomes more and more open, more and more spacious. And we do cease to cherish opinions. We do. We're able to move like the great serpent, like the little serpent, less likely to get caught by either or. Either or. We need either or. We need either or, but we don't need to get caught by it. So here's something from the Tang Dynasty in China, Zen. Yang Shang asked Shito, I understand the Buddha's teaching, but around here you just sit in silence. What does this mean? Shito responded, this way will not do. This way will not do. Not this way will not do. Both this way and not this way will not do. Neither this way nor that, nor not this way will not do. Tetralema, Nagarjuna's tetralema, the serpent. We get stuck on one. We move beyond their limitations. So I have Lyme's disease. I got Lyme's disease maybe, I don't know, 8-10 years ago at a country monastery that Chimyo spent some time at, that Katagiri Roshi founded, Kokyoji. I got it there. It's been in remission for years, but it comes back. It comes back. And during the pandemic, this was just last year, the symptoms came on all of a sudden. I hadn't had any symptoms in a long time. All of a sudden they came on really strong. One day I was energetic, preparing to lead a retreat, preparing to lead a practice period. The next day I was in bed. Whoosh! And my Lyme's disease is just, it's exhausting, but I'm not in a lot of physical pain, just exhausted. It's like the plug has been pulled on my energy and I have no energy. So there I was in bed. So I thought, now it's time for me to practice what I preach. So first I acknowledged my suffering, my exhaustion and my anger. I thought, this is done. I'm even though I'm not the guiding teacher at Zen Center anymore, since I've retired, I'm still, a lot of people still think of me as the man, the man, right? Well, there's the man and prone in his bed under 6 layers of colors. So I'm suffering psychologically and also physically from exhaustion and anger. And then I practice moving right within my bed. So just feeling how cozy it is to be there, how safe and supported I feel by my blankies. and how lucky I feel to be in warmth. Second place in the tetralemma. Then I practiced. I had to practice this over and over. We never master this, We say we mastered it, but we've also not mastered it, whatever it is. Then we hold both. Anyway, you know what I mean. So then I held them both, and a real feeling of gratitude came up for this rare opportunity to just rest, because I don't rest very much. I'm a go-go-goer. My body was saying, Tim, gotta rest. Oh, thank you, body. Thank you, body. So I embraced them both. And finally, I just was able to release them and just be with what is. And that sounds easy, but you guys know it's not easy. It sounds hard, but it's not hard either. easy and hard, and not easy and not hard. And forget it all and just come back here and be. Just be as you are, as you are. So my students, that I talked about this, as I said, during the pandemic, and my students were, one of them said, well, she's bewildered about the actual practice. She was hearing my Dharma talk, and this is during the questions and answers. And I said, oh, you're bewildered. That's good. Let's see, can you embrace that bewilderment? I did this in front of the group. After that, nobody asked me any questions because she felt put on the spot. I'm sorry. But that's what Zen teachers do sometimes. Oh, can you just be with that bewilderment? Can you just feel it in your heart? Can you feel it in your body? Can you hold it? Can you hold it? And she said, yes, I can do that. I can do that. And I said, oh, well, when you say that, you don't sound bewildered. Can you hold now also the clarity of that awareness? She said, yes, I can do that. I can do that. I said, good. Now, can you bring back in your bewilderment? Just be with your bewilderment and the clarity about your bewilderment. She said, I can do both. And then at some point, it released. It released. And that's the fourth step in the tetralemma, or opening up to just being, So does this sound too good to be true? Oh, sure, it's too good to be true. Something that's true is also not true, both true and not true, and neither true nor not true. Problems arise when we get stuck on a certain identity or certain persona. And then we are really cherishing an opinion about who we are, what life should be, who you are. So I want to give, I think, one last example. Let's see what time it is on my screen here. Okay, it's 20 after all. Okay, well, I'll talk a little longer. Only 20 after. Okay. So one student of mine whom I mentored for a long, long time, finally, after I'd been mentoring her for a year, she told me a secret. But I already knew the secret because I could smell, have a good nose. She was a smoker. And to be a smoker in a Zen center, not okay. Not, you know what we're like. Not okay. A smoker. Nobody at the Zen center knew she was a smoker. It took her for a year to tell me. Secret smoker. Remember when it used to be okay and everybody just smoked? I don't even want to remember that. It makes me cough. I never smoked. but so she acknowledged it. She confessed it. She confessed it. And opened up to her embarrassment about her shame, how long she tried to quit, how she'd gotten it down so nobody knew it. She just smoked outside, and I didn't want to tell her that I knew it because lots of smokers seem to lose their sense of smell about the smoke. I don't know any smokers anymore except this woman. Well, I'm gonna call her a they now, so you won't know. Them. This man. Let's turn them into a man. But you won't know anyway. This person's long gone from sunset. Anyway, when I give examples, I always fabricate them enough that nobody can figure them out. And to protect people's confidentiality, right? Protect their confidentiality. Anyway, then we just kind of talked about this, and I had her feel this. Embarrassment, the shame, which she'd been carrying around for all these years. Then, at some point, I said to her, after she'd fully done this, but you like to smoke, right? You like to smoke. There are some pleasant sensations. You take your deep inhale. I bet you smoke outside. Oh, yes, I have to smoke outside. Oh, well, now I'd like you just to imagine yourself smoking. Imagine the soothing sensations, taking a few inhales and acknowledging how good it feels. Second step in the tetralemma, right? I can do that, she said. I can do that. And then even I did it with her. Although we didn't have any smoke in the room or any cigarette. And then, after she'd done that, fully inhabited that, I said, now can you open up to both? Can you come back to your desire to stop smoking? You really want to stop smoking. You're really ashamed about it. And your desire for the soothing sensations and how good they make you feel. She did. And she blurted out something like, I want to give it up. And I don't want to give it up because it feels so good. And I want to give it up. And I don't like it. She's beginning to open up beyond her limited little cherished opinion that she's clinging to. So where she'd been boxed in with her either or thinking, she now is free to both hate smoking and love it at the same time, moving between the two. A big step toward resolving the struggle between who she felt she should be and who she hated that she really was. We all get caught in this. We all do. This is the human predicament, the human situation. But with our Zazen practice, with our meditation practice, we enlighten all of this. Not enlighten in terms of getting enlightened, but lighten it up by doing this practice. Letting go of this opinion, doing its opposite if you want to do it the formal way. But informally, we do this in our Zazen. Fully embracing the dance of Nagarjuna's tetralemma, stepping out of our comfort zone. So this sounds like this might sound, somebody said, oh, this is too intellectual for me to. But this is not about intellectual. This is about practice. We cling to emotions that have caused us pain for so many years. And a sense of identities and thoughts that are coagulate. But it's a practice. So now it's 9:25. I'm going to do 3 minutes of practice with you. 3 minutes of practice. Or maybe 4. Or maybe 5. So let's just take anger. Let's take anger. And if you'd like to practice this with me, practice this with me. A real or imagined feeling of anger that you've experienced recently. Fully breathing through it, embracing it, noticing it in your body, around your heart, around your neck, somewhere else in your body. Any thoughts that come up, an experience of anger that you have, that's still with you, because these things stay in our body. Just being with it right now. And I'll be quiet while I let you just find it in your body, in your heart, and just be with it. And if you just stay with it and hold it on its own, it begins to dissipate. If it doesn't feel judged or valuable, it just begins to dissipate. Not as fast as you want it to be, but in its own time, it dissipates. And we let go of the thoughts that are fueling it, and then move to experiencing fully the calm clarity that arises naturally as we embrace it. As we accept it and acknowledge it, fully embrace it. Calm clarity. And then noticing how calm and clear we feel. Noticing how calm and clear we feel. With no trace of anything else, just the calmness of our breathing. And now, bringing the anger back and holding both the anger and our sense of freedom from it within the calmness of our Zazen posture. Holding both of them together. Holding both. Aerating them both with our breathing. And then beginning to notice how these two seemingly contradictory thoughts and feelings begin to dissolve. And as we dissolve, we move into, well, just being here together. Anger, no anger, neither anger, nor no. So I think that's enough for the exercise. All types of thoughts can cause us pain. Often it seems like thoughts slip into our mind fully developed and just take over, in case you haven't noticed. Working with this kind of process cultivates mental and emotional flexibility and resilience. And really that's what Zen meditation is. We see the habituated pattern, we see the comparing, we see the criticizing, we see the complaining. We breathe through them, they dissolve gently and naturally. And we open up to all experience, all components of being. It doesn't mean we can get rid of them. If we get rid of them, they don't dissolve, because then we have that, I got rid of it. No. Nothing has ever gotten rid of. Big mind, Suzuki Roshi, my first teacher, is called big mind, heart mind. Walt Whitman said, I just finished teaching Walt Whitman. I am large, I contain multitudes, big mind. Walt Whitman was into non-dual. He didn't know anything about Buddhism, but he knew about the Vedas. he knew about Upanishad, he knew about Bhagavad Gita, and he'd had his own enlightenment experience, actually. I'm large, I contain multitudes. So this helps us stay centered. But if we focus on staying centered, that's not too big centered, that's just little centered. Center comes from doing this practice. We still get triggered. I still get triggered all the time, but I can more quickly see it, be with it, acknowledge it, open up to it, let go of it. So Katagiri Roshi, who Tejo Munich and I both practiced with, she practiced with him for longer than I did, because I ran away bad and then came back, ran away and came back, good, bad, whatever. I was with Suzuki, I ran away from him. I came to Katagiri, I ran away from him. Running is good if you just happen it, just allow it to be. It's also sitting still. It's not different, but they are different. They're different activities. If you don't sit still, you don't learn the joy of running. Anyway, I'm supposed to be talking about something here. Instead, I'm talking about nothing. Oh, nothing, sure, nothing. No thing. We're always attached to something. What about no thing, which includes all things? Because you're large, you include multitudes. So Katagiri Roshi and his wife Tamoy had a doll in their room in San Francisco. They only had a small apartment in San Francisco, and they had little boys, and they had a big Bodhidharma doll, which is an inflated doll with a steel ball in its bottom, in its butt, and the Bodhidharma doll, the kids would knock it over and it would come back, and they'd knock it over and come back, and the more they knocked it over, the more it came back. That's our lineage, that's our ancestry, that's our practice. That's enlightenment. Enlightenment's not something. Jeez, ridiculous. You can just take LSD if you want something. Oh, take LSD, I don't care. I took it. More and more it's being used. I'm also a psychologist, as you heard. More and more it's being used in therapy again. It used to be bad. Now it's becoming good. I took it when it was really, well, before it was good and bad, way back then. Just an experiment. Everybody did this experiment. Anyway, I don't want to go on for too long. I want to be ending this talk. Now, the tetralemma, we don't get rid of suffering. There's sickness, old age, and death. We don't get rid of those, but we become able to endure our pain without suffering so much over all the trials and tragedies. There they are, but we don't suffer so much about them because we're just able to be with them. And this practice dissolves the either or fixations. First book I read on Zen was The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. I wonder if that book is still around. People are coming back to both psychedelics and Alan Watts at the same time. Well, I think I must be 20 years old. I'm almost 80. Really, I guess Alan Watts is online. I don't think psychedelics are online. But anyway, the wisdom of insecurity. We get secure in our belief, in our opinion, in our anger and judgment. But we move beyond that limitation. And when that happens, our sense of little Tim softens. and becomes more open. My loneliness, even during the pandemic, dissolves into a feeling of love. Love and wholeness. But not I'm whole. I'm large. I am multitudes. I contain multitudes. And each part is equally important part of that whole. Each part, including anger, including suffering, including pain, including that opinion I cherish. And there it is. We have opinions, we cherish them. Any good Zen teacher cherishes some opinions. That's how we teach. But we also can laugh about it, right? And let go of them if we're practicing. If we're practicing. Whatever that means. Dogen calls that practice enlightenment. Practice dash enlightenment. So that's the second middle way. Nagarjuna's middle way. The serpent master's middle way. The serpent hero's middle way. The first middle way is between austerity and indulgence, between too much alcohol and no alcohol, between too much sitting and not enough sitting, the middle way. But Nagarjuna's middle way is the middle way when we no longer caught by good and bad, up and down, any set of polarities. And we're just like the Bodhidharma doll. But Nagarjuna says, the serpent hero says, his so-called middle way is empty of any sense of middle. Nagarjuna says, the belief in emptiness is the most insidious belief of all. The most insidious belief of all. So that includes the sacred. Oh, I hope my Rakusu is okay back at Zen Center. Wonder where I left it. And the mundane. After this talk, I've drunk so much coffee that I'll probably have, oh no, this isn't coffee I drink. I don't drink coffee, excuse me. This is sparkling water that I'm probably going to have to get up and pee. The sacred and the mundane. What's the difference? What's the big mind? Big mind. That's where you can rest. That's your natural resting point. I don't know anything else. And I don't really even know that. And that's my talk, I guess. And let's see. Oh, 9:39. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
You know that exercise that you did with us, you said to let go of the thoughts that are fueling our anger.
Uh-huh.
I got stuck there because it seems like if I try to let go of thoughts, then my thoughts are trying to let go of thoughts, and it kind of gets overlaid. It seems like letting go is something that sort of happens.
Well, I think that's right. That was a poor guided meditation if I said that. I was not using a script. That's my excuse. Because I'm angry. I fully inhabit my anger. I feel it. I breathe through it. I notice the thoughts coursing through. And then after I have fully embraced those, I'm ready to just move on to the fact that in my fully embracing them, in that awareness, there's a clarity in which I won't say the anger is absent, but it's completely stilled. It's completely stilled. Then I can move on to embracing both. But if we get too intellectual about this, it doesn't happen. So, but I think your point is good, Tejo. And sometimes, but sometimes we have to practice with the tetralemma. I just have to move on from my anger to, I have to give this Dharma talk. Linda has really upset me, my wife of, many, really upset me, let's pretend, just before this. I have to just be present in the Dharma talk. And if I'm just present in the Dharma talk, my anger is gone.
Mm.
And then when the Dharma talk is over, I can just be with the anger again and experience its goneness from the Dharma talk. And then organically I'll be able to let go of those and just maybe go down and get another glass of sparkling water, even talk to Linda. It's better for me not to talk to Linda until I've gone through the tetralema. I don't mean in this kind of rigid way, intellectual way. I mean behavioral. Anyway, that's
Thank you.
sure. Yes, try to let go. Good luck. Good luck. No. We want to get something. That's why we try to let go. This happens organically through the practice. We become like the serpent through the practice. But serpent practice is good because, like I say, if Linda has just done something to make me really mad and I have to give my Dharma talk, it's time for me just to give my Dharma talk. And I have to discipline myself just to encounter you guys, just to give my Dharma talk, which means I'm letting go of the anger. And then I come back. Okay, the anger still is simmering. And I work with it, organic process of living. But without meditation, I think it's almost impossible. But I better not say it's impossible because then I get stuck on, you guys should all meditate. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, meditate for sure.
It's
You should.
interesting. It's interesting to me what you're saying, because I'm thinking that's also something that we get busy in order, because when we get busy, like giving a talk or whatever, then we can let go of our anger and we like that feeling, but we're not really letting go of it unless we do what you're talking about, which is to acknowledge it, acknowledge both sides. And
Yes, I think
there is that ability to do that, which we have whether we do the practice or not. We just say, oh, I've got to do it. Like you say, it's a discipline. I've got to do it. But that's different. It's different when you kind of recognize that by doing that, you're free, you're experience the freedom from the anger, and that both can exist in the same place or something.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, our teachers had us practice Shikan, S-H-I-K-N, which means you just do something. Shikan Taza, just to sit. Shikan Bao, just to bow. And that's a wonderful practice. I've done that. I still do that all the time. But that doesn't mean residue doesn't stay from past experiences. That's why the bare awareness of Zazen is a great opportunity to open up to whatever has occurred. Anything more? Well, so happy to be here this morning. There must be a closing chant. I guess you don't pass the Donna ball because you're online.
It's being passed virtually.
Oh, I see.
No,
right. Well, I don't know if you do a closing chant. I'll turn it over to Tejo. Tejo, I thought you were going to be gone this morning. It was wonderful.
I thought I was too. I thought the wedding was this morning, but it's this afternoon, so I was able to come.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I actually wanted to say a few words beforehand because, when I came to Minnesota Zen Center, Tim had been there already. And he taught me how to do the bells for the morning service. And he gave an introduction to Buddhism class, which totally blew my mind because I didn't know anything about Buddhism at all. So I have a lot of gratitude towards Tim for being one of my teachers in the early days. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And thank you for, Tim has also kind of taken on Zen Center in such a way, now he's retired, but that it's moved on to another level in that the building has been finally fixed. I went through so many board meetings over the years where we talked about trying to tear down that one thing and finally, anyway, it looks beautiful now. So if you go to Minneapolis, go and visit the Minnesota Zen Center, and it's right on Lake. What's the name of the lake now?
Bede Makaska.
Yeah, is that a Chippewa word or a Sioux word or?
It's a Sioux word. It's a Lakota word. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They considered it a sacred lake, right?
It was named after a guy that I think he's a Southerner before, Calhoun, who we found out was really a bad slaveholder and treated his slaves very poorly. So we renamed it. We didn't know that. I never knew that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I still don't know the name because I grew up with the name Lake Calhoun.
Oh.
But I also have heard that that lake was considered by the Native Americans to be a sacred lake because it's circular. It's round. If you look at it from,
Oh, yeah.
like up by the Greek Orthodox Church, if you look at it from above, you can see.
Oh, yeah.
And so that area is kind of.
No.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming. And we do a closing chant. And who's going to respond? This is a call and response, but call and response doesn't work very well on Zoom. So only one person doesn't mute themselves. Who would like to do that? Christine, thank you. May the merit of this practice.
May the merit of this practice
Benefit all beings.
benefit all beings
And bring peace.
and bring peace.
Thank you all for coming. And if you want to contribute some dana, I guess Tim would like it contributed to Minnesota Zen Meditation Center. Does anybody need that? I don't think it's in the chat.
Well, you can just go to the website.
Google it, right? Minnesota Zen Meditation Center. Don't look under Zen because it's under Minnesota. That was my mistake in the early days. I couldn't find it because I looked under Zen. So thank you very much for coming and see you all next week.
Thank you.
Oh, Monday is a full moon gathering at 7 o'clock in the evening. Did you want to say something, Tim?
Let's see. Come visit us, but don't do it in the winter. That would be foolish.
Right. Now's a good time, right?
Hmm?
Now is a good time though, right?
Now's a good time, but not for long.
Direct flight. There's a cheap direct flight from Asheville. Well, there's hardly anybody here from Asheville. From Asheville to Minneapolis now. It's 2.5 hours. So see?
Okay.
Okay.
Tim, thank you for the tetralemma. That was excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
And